welcome to Dustin's Kaleidoscope. I am Dustin, and I have the pleasure of being here today with Lauren Forbes.
Hi.
Thanks so much for being here, Lauren.
Absolutely.
Lauren, I wanted to have you on the show because you do so many different things. You're a producer and a host here. You're an actress. You have a health and nutrition business where you coach and do other things like that. So let's get started. First of all, I've always, we've talked off camera about you're being an actress. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you've ever told me like how you got started. Did you go to school for it? Mm-hmm. That kind of thing.
No, actually I didn't go to school for it. And I'm in the camp of those people who tell their parents that they want to be an actor. And the parents is like, absolutely not. You cannot be an actor. That is not a real profession. So that was my mom's reaction. Okay. And then what I did was all throughout college, I did a lot of community theater, tons of community theater. And I was thinking as I came over here, one of my worst theater experiences was being backstage and changing because, there's no modesty in the theater. You have to change your clothes in front of strangers. And then there was this rat crawling across the floor in this theater. That just goes to show, like, the love that you got to have for it and the commitment, because obviously in community theater, there's no money.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I knew that I really loved doing this. And so I just kept doing it. And then eventually I did get an agent, and I was able to shoot a few cable commercials. And then life happened, and I got married, and we bought a house, and I got all caught up into that. And now I'm back into it again. For the past 3 years, I've been acting pretty consistently. And now I'm in For Colored Girls Who Have Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough, by the great Ntozake Shange, and that's going to be at the Fourth Wall Theater Company, which is located at Bloomfield College. And it's going to be Thursday, February 16th. And there's right now definitely one performance of this show, but we're trying to add the Friday, the 17th as well. So hopefully that will happen.
Oh, that's
so
great.
I'm really thrilled to be in such an iconic play, and really excited to be working with the other ladies. I actually saw the play on Broadway when I was a little girl, and so it's just really thrilling to be able to be in it now.
It's like full circle.
Yeah.
Something that you watched, and now you're a part of it.
Yeah.
That's a very iconic, play.
Right.
So when you said you took a break, you were doing community theater while you were in college.
Yes.
And so that seems to me like it was like grabbing you, like you wanted to, be an actor. Right. So when you took the break, did you do anything during that time that was like sort of a substitute for
no, not really, because I'm going to tell you, actually, when I told my mom that I wanted to be an actor, and she came back and said, well, that's really not a serious profession, and you should think about doing something business-oriented where you could make some money, that kind of thing. I just kind of internalized that a little bit, so every time inside when my heartstrings were calling me back to the theater or back to acting, it was always like I would find some kind of excuse or some reason why I shouldn't do it, and so that kind of, those things that happen when you're like a little kid kind of really stick with you. Okay. And so I would get like these calls in my head, to go and do what you really love to do, and I was hanging up the phone and saying, go away, and I was trying to stuff it under the bed somewhere. And then I said things like, oh, now I'm too old, or now I'm too fat, or now I'm too whatever it is. I was trying to find excuses not to do what I really want to do. And at the end of the day, I just said, you know what? I got to go for it. Just surrender. And it doesn't mean that I'm ever going to walk down some red carpet, but it does mean that I get to do what I want to do and that I truly love it. And whatever comes of it, comes of it. But in the meantime, I'm happy because I'm doing what I love to do.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. When you were a child, did you Did you act like in school plays? Is that, so it started way back then, not just in college?
Yeah, it started when I was a little girl. My sisters and I used to write plays.
Oh, you're kidding.
Like, that's what we did in our free time. We used to write and perform plays for my mom.
That's your free time.
Yeah, we used to do that. We used to do that.
That's pretty amazing.
Back then. And then, even though my mom didn't support my decision to be an actor, she did take me to see a lot of theater when I was a little girl.
Okay.
I mean, a ton of theater. And even when she took me to see For Color Girls, I was probably too young to see it. I was about maybe 12 years old. But she took me to see it, and we just had this like routine where on Saturdays she would tell me, go get the Village Voice and look it up, which doesn't even exist now, so I'm totally dating myself. But she'd tell me, go look up a play, and we'd go see an off-Broadway play together.
Wow.
And I didn't always like the plays, but I came to appreciate the way that they could set up the stage and, you know, just how they worked on that shoestring budget.
Right.
And created so many amazing things. And it showed me the power of theater and of imagination. And for me, having that connection with the audience, I'll tell you, when I was in middle school in the 6th grade, I won an award for drama.
You're kidding.
And it was actually a tie between me and a girl named Laura Stinchcomb. And me and Laura Stinchcomb, I never forgot her.
Apparently not.
That's a real person. I wonder where she is now. But me and Laura Stinchcomb won an award in 6th grade for drama. So I'm telling you, like, that's how far back it goes for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that must have been really difficult for you. What did you end up pursuing in college?
Well, education. And then I became a teacher.
Okay.
And so, but I'm going to tell you, even in the teaching, in the back of my mind, I was thinking acting because I was saying, during my summers off from teaching, I could pursue acting, which never happened because as a teacher, you don't make much money. So what I ended up doing was I ended up taking more courses in education in order to increase my salary. And then what I did was I also taught summer school in order to increase my salary. So that never actually happened. So, I mean, like I said, I kept stuffing it down, Dustin, until finally I just said, you know, I became, I think, a little bit depressed about not doing what it is that I really wanted to do. So in the past couple of years, I've been really, you know, focusing on acting and also health and wellness and health coaching.
So that's a big step because you said there was a bit of a hiatus between when you last acted. So how did that feel? I mean, you are, I mean, I'm assuming that you have to audition like everybody else.
Right,
And you have,
of course.
You haven't auditioned in a few years.
Right.
So what was that experience like? I mean, once you got to the point where you said, you know what, I'm just going to go for it and I am going to audition. Here's, like, what's the whole process? How did you decide on which play? How did you practice for your audition? Any of those things?
Well, actually, I started off volunteering at an equity theater in Orange, which is Luna Stage.
So what's an equity theater?
Oh,
What does that mean?
that's a theater where they hire equity actors.
Oh, okay.
So the actors who perform there on their main stage performances are in the union.
Got it.
And so I started volunteering there, and I was an usher. And what I did was I started to, as an usher, you could sit down and watch the plays.
Right.
And of course, that was a great educational experience as well. And without, you know, totally, you know, getting into auditioning right away, gangbusters, I started off as an usher. And then they asked me to do some work there as an actress. First, I started as taking acting classes there.
Oh, really?
So I went back and started taking acting classes there, and then they asked me to do some readings there, which they can offer to non-union actors like myself.
And what are readings for people who don't know?
Oh, okay. So a staged reading is where the actors are on the stage, but there are music stands, and on the music stand there is the script.
Okay.
And so you don't have to commit the whole play to memory, and then it's not a fully produced play, meaning that the actors very often will be seated in chairs and pretty much stay that way throughout the course of the presentation. But some of them do include music, and other arts are included, like music or slides or something like that, to make it more dynamic. But the actors don't have to memorize. And but what happens is, in a stage reading, a lot of times, if you're good, the audience will forget that you're there referring to a script, and they will pay attention to you as an actor because they want to forget it. You know, they want to forget that you're reading, and they want to just really look at you as an actor and forget that, you know, suspend that knowledge that you have your script in front of you. And so a lot of times, if, like I said, if you're good, people will forget that you're doing that. So anyway, so it kind of grew from first taking classes and then doing staged readings. And then I was in a show that was at the South Orange Performing Arts Center called Listen to Your Mother. And it is so popular. It's only done every year at Mother's Day weekend.
Oh, really?
And it's all about stories around motherhood. And so since I have a son, I wrote a story, actually not about my own self as a mother, but as myself as a child. And I wrote it about my mom and my sisters.
Wow.
And it's all about stories. So there were people who wrote about adopting children. There were people who wrote about their houses, in fact, because they felt as though they had a mother kind of feeling in their house. Just all the work that they had to put into their old homes made them feel kind of like a maternal instinct. Right. And there were people who wrote about breastfeeding, and what that's like. People wrote about all kind of different issues related to motherhood. Tragedies, miscarriages, everything. So
people
it
putting
happens,
it out there.
Yeah, it happens every year. It's it's going to happen 2017 Mother's Day weekend,
right?
And it happens across the country actually. And so South Orange is one of the places where it's performed. And so I did that, and then that was an original piece that I wrote, and it was really fun to actually write my own work. So my next step actually for myself is to do a one-woman show. Okay. And the director of this play that I'm in now for Color Girls, she saw my work and she said to me, you know what, you need to do a one-woman show. So she's helping to put some to help me with vocal coach and that kind of thing so that I can do a one-woman show or a cabaret. So each time I just kept challenging myself a little bit more. So
and this has been like just a few years.
Yeah, in just a few years. I went from doing like stage readings to fully staged productions. I did Clybourne Park with the Maplewood Strollers. And I just keep like upping the ante every time.
Right.
Because theater is just something that's in my blood. And I also feel like I'm never going to progress unless I up the ante every time. So I can't just be, content with doing staged readings. I had to kind of, do more. But theater is so demanding, takes so much time. So I'm really grateful always to my husband and my son for being considerate of me and letting me go to rehearsals and get out of the house and do what I really love to do.
This is so great that you are talking about this, because I'm sure there's somebody looking at this thinking, okay, she came back and she decided to do exactly what she wanted to do from many years ago. So this is just wonderful. And the fact that you progressed from being an usher all the way up to now you are, going about going through the process of trying to determine how you go about doing the one-woman show, which should be so interesting. We have about, less than a minute now, so we are going to take a break. But on the other side, I want to continue talking about, I'm curious to find out about your one-woman show. And I also want to delve into the nutrition and the coaching part of what you do as well. So,
okay, great.
This is Dustin's Kaleidoscope. I am Dustin. I'm here at Lauren Forbes, and we will be back in a few minutes.
After 17 years working as a mason, Mike was laid off. I met him when he came into the library looking for help. He found a job opening, but the application was only online. Mike said he'd spent his entire life around tools, but had never used a computer. I showed him how, and he ended up applying for numerous jobs online. I saw Mike the other day. His new computer skills paid off. He's working again.
New Jersey libraries are transforming lives. Tell us your story.
Welcome back to Dustin's Kaleidoscope. I'm Dustin, and I'm here with Lauren Forbes. And before the break, we were talking about your how you came back into acting in the last couple of years. And you mentioned that you are in the process of getting together a one-woman show. So what are you thinking about talking about? What's the process? I know you said you have somebody who's helping you with it. How does this happen, and what's the time frame for doing a one-woman show? Does it take a year? Does it take 5 years? I have no idea.
Well, I tell you, this is part of what I'm hoping to learn from this person. I'm hoping to learn how to put together a one-woman show. So I'm not exactly sure. I know that in my initial conversations, what was discussed was, okay, so what is the message that you want your audience to go away with at the end of your show? And what is the content going to be about? So that's sort of what I've started thinking about, is what do I want audiences to come away with? And for me, it's always going to be something of a positive nature, something to inspire people. I think that there's a lot of negativity in the world right now, so I would use, my talents to try and uplift people as much as I can. And I'm thinking that I want to do something maybe around something to do with my childhood. My sister passed away in 2014, and so I want to be able to tie something in about that. She died of breast cancer, and we were extremely close. She lived in South Orange. So for some reason, I remember a lot about my childhood, and I'm thinking that I want to weave into my one-woman show something to do with my childhood stories that would ultimately relate back to my sister. As she took a stand, she just didn't believe in taking chemotherapy and drugs of that nature. And so I just kind of want to maybe tie something along those lines in with my passion for health and wellness and early detection and that kind of thing. Because everybody has, their personal choice as far as how they're going to deal with disease. And this was something that she believed in very strongly, obviously. So I just kind of want to honor that in everyone, having that choice to determine how they're going to chart the course of their lives. And I also wanted to do something that would speak to our closeness and our relationship as sisters, because I think it's a universal kind of a thing. She was that person that I stayed up late with talking to in the bed, at night after we were supposed to be sleeping. And I think a lot of people can relate to that closeness amongst sisters or brothers or siblings. And so I'm just starting to flesh it out. So I'm not quite, I got it 100%, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay. So that sort of is a nice transition into, you were talking a little bit about health and sicknesses, and I know that you do work in that area as well. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do specifically?
Well, I have started a health and wellness coaching business. And basically, the way that I started it was through a meetup that I have called the Hot and Healthy Happy Hour.
Hot and Healthy Happy Hour.
The Hot and Healthy Happy Hour. That's that's my meetup group. I
like that.
And we've been meeting once a month for the past 4 to 5 months, so it's very new. But it's just about getting together and connecting with like-minded people to try and stay healthy and prevent disease. But we don't talk about any of that. We just get together and we have smoothies, and we just laugh and have a good time, because we're all sort of committed to taking care of ourselves and staying healthy. I just believe there's just too many people that are sick with chronic diseases that can be easily prevented if they made some lifestyle changes. So we have an epidemic of, diabetes, for example, in this country. So, and even certain cancers can be linked to your diet and lifestyle. And so it's just about, like I say, getting around other people who feel the same way, who have that passion, and we have smoothies together and we hang out for an hour.
That sounds like so much fun.
It's just really, kick back and meet up. And what's funny is that my girlfriend said to me, she says, well, if I come and I meet somebody, because she's actually trying to meet somebody, as a partner in life. So she says, what if I come and I meet somebody? I'm like, well, that would be fabulous if you met somebody at my meetup. I mean, it's got all kind of purposes,
You're going to have to change the name of the meetup, then. It's going to be like the Hot and Heavy or something. Anyway, but that's wonderful that people, so the people who are coming, are they, where are they on the spectrum of health? Are these people who are already in fantastic shape and they just want to meet with like-minded people, or are they people who are, just taking one day at a time?
Yeah, just
with different
one day.
goals?
Yeah, one day at a time.
Okay.
Different goals. So sometimes we talk about weight loss, but a lot of times we don't. We just kind of, are connecting and forming a sense of community. And I think that that's something that people really need is a sense of connection. I think they feel, disconnected from a lot of what's going on. And we just came out of this really divisive election cycle. And I think people want to come together. That's why meetups are so perennially popular. And so it's just really just to get together and connect. And I like to hold that space for people to be able to connect on whatever way that they want to. Like I said, if it's romantically or if it's just, we're connecting because we're networking or, just to laugh and have a good time and get out of the house. The only thing you have to be is you got to be hot, you got to be healthy. So if you're hot and you're healthy, you're in. So
okay, yeah. So people can find your meetup on Meetup, but and the name of it again, so people will know,
is
Hot and Healthy Happy Hour. The Hot and Healthy Happy Hour. You have to be hot and healthy.
You have to be hot and healthy. And, but seriously, committed to trying to be as healthy as you can. And I think at the end of the day, healthy people are in the best position to turn around and be of service to other people.
True.
You can't be of service and do something to help someone else if you yourself are not in that position.
Right.
So I think why I'm so committed to being healthy is so that this way I can turn around and do some good in the world.
That's wonderful.
And I think at the end of the day, that's why we're here, is to be of service and to do something to help someone else. So first, if you start with yourself, it's like the airplane story, right? You got to put that gas mask on yourself first, and then you can help someone else.
And how did you get started in this?
It just really grew out of my passion. Like in my free time, I'll read about health and wellness.
Oh, okay.
In my free time. And I start to just pay attention to what I do, like regardless. If you left me alone by myself, what would I do? And I would pick magazines and I listen to podcasts and I listen to, read articles. I get magazines on health and wellness. And it's just been a passion of mine. Plus, I grew up that way. My mom was a vegetarian. She's now a vegan. And so she's been, I think, the first person to inspire me to be committed to health and wellness. And then because of following with my sister's journey and seeing the importance of stress levels, too, and trying to keep that down and being healthy. And, so all of that has just really always fascinated me. In biology, I've always loved it. Okay. And so I just kind of put those things together. I mean, I think like somewhere down the road, like, I guess with acting, I thought about actually going to medical school.
Oh, okay.
Like when I was really young. And then, I don't know, one of my math teachers, I overheard, her saying that I couldn't handle the math. And then with that, I just felt like how could I go to medical school if I couldn't handle math? And that kind of just, I felt like I couldn't do that. But, this is where I feel like I can really help people, coaching people with health and wellness.
And how is it... So I always think of like coaching and personal training, those kinds of things where you are in someone's face for a limited amount of time, and then they go away and they may have habits that are not great for their goals.
Right.
How do you manage that? Because you can give the information, you can be there, and you can help them with a diet.
Right.
How do you motivate people to actually do it when they're not in front of you?
That's a good question. I think that you have to kind of be that person yourself.
Okay.
I think that
lead by example.
Yeah,
basically.
I think it is. I think at the end of the day, a lot of motivation has to be to lead by example. But then when people come and they're seeking health coaching, they have a pain point that they're dealing with. And so as a coach, you want to know, like, what is their number one pain point. So some people, it might be that they want to lose, whatever, X amount of pounds.
Right.
Other people, maybe it's the weight is affecting their joints and their knees and whatever. And of course, I tell them, obviously, I'm not a medical doctor. So, that has to be there. But at the same time, I find that getting from point A to point B, it takes little tiny changes.
Okay.
It's those micro changes that you make, that can have a big impact on the overall picture. So you might start with, for example, drinking more water, or you might start with laying your sneakers and your gym clothes out the night before so that you're ready to go to the gym. Right. So it's little tiny things that can have a huge impact when taken all together. So I always start with, what is the person's pain point? What is their primary reason for seeking a health coach? And then we chart out a path based on what their values are and their lifestyle. And everybody's got, different issues that they're dealing with as far as time, as far as, their diet and what they like to eat and what they don't like to eat and, how they feel about exercise. So we have to go through all of that together.
Wow.
And I talk about their values. I get a sense of what's important to them and how their lifestyle is. And then we can develop sort of an individual plan. And then we have little checkpoints as we get together and say, okay, it's been, a week or 2 weeks. How do you feel that it's going? What do you think we could do? How might we tweak it?
And what do you find rewarding about that? Because I know the person on the other end is obviously being rewarded by meeting their specific goals. How does it make you feel to see someone meeting those goals and even starting these goals?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I mean, one, it kind of also helps to keep me on the straight and narrow.
Oh, okay.
I think it helps to keep me on the straight. You can't really be saying these things to somebody, like I say, and then not actually be living it yourself. Then I think that you would be you'd be out of integrity if you did that.
Okay.
So, it helps to solidify it for me, because this is not an easy path to be on.
Right.
To try to live a healthy lifestyle in our 300 mile per hour,
Yes.
the way that we all
Multitasking
live. We're
world.
multitasking,
Yes.
we're grabbing some food, we're grabbing fast food, we're just, going through life gangbusters. And so, helping people to kind of slow down. And, take it in and figure out what's going to be best, and, planning and that kind of thing. I mean, those are the things that I'm doing. So it helps to solidify it for me.
Okay.
So I think anytime, and that's the great thing about service, anytime that you're supposedly helping somebody else, it really does affect you.
Right.
You
That's
get
very true.
You
That's
get
so
as
true.
much out of it, because you've done quite a lot of volunteer work. You know that when you volunteer, there's a lot that person who is volunteering gets out of it.
That's so true.
So I never feel, sometimes I want to say to somebody, thank you for letting me, work with you on your goals. Yeah.
Lauren, we are just about out of time. Actually, we are out of time now. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to us and telling us about your journey back into acting, and also about health and wellness and how you're helping people become better people. So,
well, thank you for having me, Dustin. It's been so much fun.
As usual, right?
Yes.
I'm Dustin. This is Dustin's Kaleidoscope, and we will see you next time. Bye.